Well, thank you for coming on, and welcome to everybody on OPN and anybody that might be shadowing us, maybe Earth or any other channels. We appreciate you joining us tonight, and we're really lucky to have Elizabeth, who is Occupier musician, here for a few minutes. Elizabeth spent the evening doing the sleepover in front of Wall Street last night, so we talked earlier, and I said, okay, we'll promise we'll keep it short and sweet because she's tired from last night, and if I know Elizabeth is probably back out on the scene tonight. So you want to just tell us a little bit about that, how that experience was, and what it was like to be on the ground there?
It was awesome, to say the very least. It was awesome. Like, it was really amazing feeling to just be like, what? We're like taking Wall Street? This is happening? This is a reality? Right on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the...
And you guys were able to stay there without a lot of police harassment, or they didn't give you too much trouble?
Yeah, they didn't really harass us. I mean, I think initially they were like, no. I don't know if they were talking to their, hey, second, do you want to join me in an interview about, like, sleeping on Wall Street right now? Or? We don't have to. I was just wondering, because I'm doing it right now. Okay. Well, just a second. I'm talking to someone who's awesome, and did a lot of planning, or not. There wasn't really planning for it. We just, right? Or was there?
There was like a few days of planning.
Okay. Because like the cops didn't really like bother us that much, right?
No, they didn't at all.
Yeah, and so
the overnight vigil or like sleeping protest law, they backed off instantly.
Because it's that big. We had a big, huge sign.
We invoked it.
We invoked it?
Yeah, the cops came up to us and were like, you can't sleep here. And I was like, actually,
yeah,
there's a sleeping protest law. I showed them the card. Like, I have the 12-page copy of it, which is the actual.
Can you hear what she's saying? I don't know if you want to be on camera.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
She's talking about how they had the law posted up there so the cops could see it. Is that right?
The what?
The actual law from the books that allowed you guys to be there without being harassed.
I'm sorry. She's talking to me. I can't. Is that? Alright. Sorry.
It was a 2000 case for a nighttime vigil. It was like a homelessness awareness vigil. The NYCLU representing during that case. And it gives you overnight sleeping privileges.
Yeah.
On any street in New York.
Yeah, and then I actually arrived right when the cops were starting to hassle. I think I got there like 20 minutes late, and that's right when they were.
We only had one cop bother us all night.
So yeah.
Anyone who engaged with the police officers was getting hassled.
Yeah.
And they may have come up a few times to us to move a certain way, or like, but really, I mean, in comparison to what we experienced in Occupy Wall Street in our relationship with NYPD, they were like completely hands-on.
Yeah, I know. It's very. I apologize. I'm trying to talk to someone who's kind of has a lot of background. And it's really awesome, and slept there last night too. And so it was a 2000 judgment for a homeless vigil.
Yeah.
And that they deemed was legal in court.
Yes. But the complications, which you'll see tonight, are that
Bummer.
that it's not like a how long we can stay.
Okay. Alright, alright, thank you so much. I'm gonna try to get back to like all these people.
Yeah, sure.
But thank you. So yeah, oh, you can hear both. You can hear her. Okay. Yeah. So if you got that information, yeah, she's there. So apparently, so laws are like really vague. So it's really interesting when you're protesting, and being Occupy Wall Street, I've learned so much about the laws, and them are super vague, and that which leads to the arrest, but also kind of leads you to be also able to kind of argue your side of it with the cops and like kind of like talk to them like, oh, this is the law, and like because it's vague and then make them not sure and they have to question it. And so what we did was we invoked this law of we had a big huge poster board of the law, like printed out in huge letters on a thing, and it highlighted the important points like legal to do a peaceful protest, sleep in, and you cannot disturb this, or something like that. And so we had that out there the whole night. And this guy was actually walking. He actually was wearing it as poster board on his body, and was like walking back and forth with it for a while. And then we put it in front of us, and so they were kind of like they had to question what they had to question the law. The police had to actually like look at the law and question it in order to like do anything, and they didn't do anything, and they really weren't bothered at all. It was pretty amazing.
Right.
The only
Well, I think
bothering was
that was brilliant. It was a brilliant idea. We should do that more often because it gave them pause and provided you some level of protection. What were the conditions like last night? Was it cold and windy, or was it fairly,
It wasn't terrible. I was a little cold, but I feel like everyone else was very, we were puddling it up. So
yeah.
That's really sweet.
And this morning when you were streaming, I caught some of that, and then we shadowed Sabo Kitty also, and it looked like there was a lot of people still out there and some great signage and everything. It looked like a really great action. What was the community response to it as the people were coming to work?
Oh, it was very like, you have your, I think people are walking really fast in New York, and they have their heads down, and I think people were responding. I was kind of telling people have a really good day and trying to be really cheerful and positive, and like, kind of in a way like, because I feel like for me, what strikes me with Occupy is that it has created an atmosphere where people can come together and create and imagine, and that's a very vague idea, and I like that vague idea of being all-inclusive. So I'm personally not into like doing like very specific chants, unless sometimes I do, or very specific things to say out loud, because you have like a millisecond to talk to all these people passing by, right? And so I was kind of like, hey, have a good day, imagine something different.
Yep.
Like it's possible. I'm like, whatever that is for you, whatever it is for you. And I had a sign that said, this is a sign. That was my sign.
That's outstanding. No, that's great. Because I thought it was really, really positive, the overall feeling. And when Sable Kitty was saying the social change thing, I was cracking up. That was fabulous, It's how we'll win people over, by just being human and interacting. Are you going back out there tonight? Is that on stack for tonight, or yeah?
Going back, I was actually really enjoyed taking a step back from the streaming last night and just kind of being and participating. I mean, like, a live streamer is participatory and people witnessing are participatory, but like it's a different type of participation, and I just was really enjoying to be. And there's also a lot of streamers there last night.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not sure if I'm going to stream tonight, but I will be there tonight.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an important distinction to make too, because things I've done, like with Bread and Puppet and all that stuff, I learned that you can either participate and be engaged in the thing, or you can document it. But it's really hard to do both at once because you're coming at it from a different angle, even if you're in the middle of it. And I think people don't realize that we have to often make a choice of one or the other. And I'm glad you were able to get there and do some, and without the burden or the responsibility of streaming.
Yeah. Because, it's different with the camera. It's a different dynamic with the camera. People are less likely to have like a really engaging conversation and really personal. And I really, being at an action like that, it's really nice to talk to people about ideas and like what we hope to accomplish and like what we think about life. And so that's kind of what I was doing last night. It was really fun. And yeah, I didn't have to walk around the whole night. So I mean, obviously, if I feel like there's like I need to live stream, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
But
Well,
I kind of just take it like that.
there's great value in being able to engage and just have those conversations without the camera, without recording it. You know, it's very meaningful, and then you gather that information and you can kind of share it with us. So for those of you who are just joining us, Elizabeth, we're going to try to get her out here pretty quick. So I'm going to just ask a couple of little questions, and we can spend some time. And some of these, I'm sure you've said in the past, but new people may not know. Everybody knows that you're, streaming out of NYC, and you did the road trip, and that was good. So you have some, a following. But some of us were wondering what originally brought you to the Occupy movement. Like, how did you get involved? What was that entry point?
Entry point. Well, I mean, I had heard about Occupy. I mean, my background story is that I was involved in Our Hearts like 4 or 5 years ago, which is an anarchist network of autonomous collectives, groups, and they're actually the people who run the Radical Zine table, the free literature table.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen them on the stream running the literature table, but that's in Our Hearts, and I used to work very closely with them many years ago.
Uh-huh.
And so that's kind of was my introduction to activism and that kind of stuff, and doing and like creating like social change, and like I just had weird experiences doing it, and some negative, and just kind of put me off to doing activism and just kind of focusing on my music.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of where I was at when Occupy happened. Just to give, I guess, a little background.
Yeah.
And I know, Occupy, I thought it was great. I kind of thought that people would, the occupation last maybe two, maybe 3 days tops. They would all get beat up, and like no one would ever hear about it.
Right.
And that's another thing I say. Like, I would never, if you had told me like you would take a park for 2 months and change the conversation of the nation and the world, I would have called me crazy. But so yeah, I mean, I had been following it pretty closely, and actually was hanging out in a music collective in Boston, and all the people in the collective, I used to hang out in Boston a lot. And all the people in the collective, they were like, hanging out in Occupy and playing music in Occupy, and so I was in Boston, and they're like, hey, we're going to go play music in Occupy Boston. And I was like, all right, I'll come with you. And that was my first encampment, even though I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah. And the rest is history.
Yeah, and I went to Occupy Boston, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And that was in early October, and then that's when I started going down to Liberty Park. And, usually I had a really good friend who was staying at the park, and I would go to visit him, and I would also go with my instrument and find other musicians to play with, or come down with other musicians, and I would come a couple times a week, starting early October. That's how I got involved. That was a really big background story. That's how I got to Occupy.
No, it's a great story because the music got you there, and then you got involved with the people and with media, and then you were in. You were working and serving the movement.
Yeah.
And I just want to say from all of us, we love your work and what you do, and you bring so much grace and elegance and just a smart and well-considered approach to it, and we're grateful for it. It's wonderful to have you out there showing us what's going on, and also to see you engage. Like I told you the other day, trombone cam just makes me crazy. It's just the funniest thing ever, and I think it just speaks so well of you to be in such difficult situations and be able to represent it so well and represent us so well, and we're thankful for that. What do you think is our biggest challenge in Occupy?
Well, thank you for the feedback, but the biggest challenge in Occupy,
Well, somebody would have to
I think the biggest challenge would just be like being like remembering to listen to each other. I think that's really important. consistent. I think the biggest challenge would be like how we interact with each other as a movement. Like it's not really outside. It's like, I think we have to keep in mind that yes, we're trying to do all these big ideas, and what we're doing is pretty big, whatever that is. But I think to keep in mind that even though we have all these big grand ideas, is that we need to remember to treat the people around us with respect and kindness. And I think people kind of graze over that sometimes and forget that, like, oh, I have to, it's important to watch each other's back and say, hey, did you have a meal today? Did you sleep enough? And also just being kind, like if someone says something and you don't like it, doesn't mean you have to yell at them. You just have differences of opinion. I think just keeping in mind that we need to treat each other.
I think that's a good point. We run into that a lot just everywhere, and it's one of the common discussions we have with everybody we interview, is the ability to remember that we're all different individuals and we're going to have differences of opinions and discussions and conflicts, but we have to transcend that and be able to work together. What do you think your next steps going forward are, as far as your participation in Occupy? You have any idea, any news for us to be on the lookout for? Or?
I'm sorry, I was typing in the information about In Our Hearts and I got distracted. Could you rephrase the question?
That's okay. It was a mangled question. I was wondering what your next steps in Occupy are going to be. We know you're going to occupy Wall Street tonight, and then what comes next?
I mean, that's where I'm at. What comes next is Occupy Wall Street. Occupying Wall Street tonight. I have some projects. Friday is the Bank of America run, and the Friday trainings are great. Spring training and May Day is great. I'm not really sure I have very grand idea. I think what we're envisioning as we go, and that an end result isn't there, and that's fine. I think the idea that us coming together and creating possibilities, other possibilities.
There you go. That's it. That's what I was looking for.
I got you. So is the important part, and so that's where I'm at. I don't really know. I'm just here.
Yeah, you kind of are taking it day to day and responding to situations. Yeah.
I'm taking it very day to day, and that's why I like it. Well, we can just talk yesterday and we can just do this today. I just feel like, whatever I feel like I need to do from day to day, and I try to do a couple, at least a couple things a day, and you go to, I've been doing a lot of, meetings and organizing.
Right. And sort of our last thing is, before you go, I was wondering if you could speak to that, because, the last time we talked to you were like meetings, and there's a lot of organizing going on, which eats up a lot of time. And I was wondering if you could share with everybody just kind of how that typically works, because I know it's when you're not streaming, you're working very hard on stuff with a lot of people, and it's good for us to know that. You want to know what we're doing? I don't really want to go into a lot of details. Okay, well that's understandable.
It's a personal thing. Yeah. Let's just say, I have all the organizing doing with, In Our Hearts, and not sorry, In Our Hearts, but with Occupy Wall Street, May Day meetings, our big, just different little video projects. I'm kind of putting my 2 cents on, because I have a lot of footage and people are kind of asking to edit my footage, and that's really cool. And so that's another thing. Another thing is I've been talking to a lot of lawyers about a lot of the arrests and stuff, and people are asking me for footage for arrests, and so that's a lot of I've been talking to a lot of lawyers lately.
Yeah.
It's just really weird, but so kind of maybe a little scope of things.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for everything you're doing, and thank you for taking the time out, because I know you're busy and you're tired, and it's wonderful to be able to see you and chat with you, one-on-one. If anybody has a question, ask it now, because we need to let Elizabeth go do her thing. Or if you have anything you want to add, fire away. The floor, you're on stack. Go.
Well, I guess I'll say, I think, yeah, we're doing this together, right? And I think for me, it's just really important to just care for each other and really like just watch each other's back. And I think that's the essence of what I want to accomplish is to be conscious and like have a world where we can be conscious, and I hope to help that process in some way. However, I mean, that's such a simple thing to say, but such a big idea, and it's been very life-changing to do this. And I'm very humbled that I can do this, and I have a life where I can do this. And I've also created that for myself, but a lot of people have helped encourage and create that for me as well. And so, yeah.
Thank you very much. And we all love you, and anything you need, you just need to let us know. Don't hesitate to ask. We'll be watching you. Take good care of yourself. I sound like a dad now, right? Take good care of yourself, eat, get the rest, blah, 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 you know, but we love you very much, and thank you for everything you're doing. So we'll let you go. See, I didn't run it past a half hour.
No, I'll stay for questions. I could say a couple. I know I was a couple minutes late, so I mean, if any questions, I feel good to still go a little bit.
Okay.
G.I. Joe, what do you mean you'll see me in the AM? G.I. Joe?
Because he's up early and watching you and wants to make sure you have what you need.
In New York? Yeah, thank you. No, it's good for people to, a lot of the chat people have been telling me to take care of myself, which is important for me to hear that, because and so I've been trying to give that back to others and telling other people to just take care of themselves. So I do have people doing that for me.
Yeah. Are the people you're around, out on the street and that you see regularly, are they aware that we pay attention and kind of, we think about them a lot and try to do whatever we can to help? Is there a level of awareness of the people involved in actions and all that they have support out there in the broader world?
I think it's hard to know. I think it's hard for me. I kind of try to put out that the chat world is an interesting dynamic, and they do. I put out that they do a lot. Like, when I read out badge numbers, they're like, "What was that badge number? Let me get a number. I'm gonna call 311 and whatever. Give me that." So that's kind of cool. And, people coming down who watch the stream and bring food is really awesome. And is there anything I need? Need is a funny word, but I'm fine. I feel fine at the current moment. Thank you, Zena. Zena? Still don't know how to say that properly. Is there any other questions? Anything at all? Like, I'm do that right now. I'm good to stay on a little more. I'm fine. Everyone's worried. Take care of myself. I haven't gotten a lot of sleep, but I'm pretty sure I'll sleep a lot tomorrow.
Well, I can ask another question while they're thinking of something. I'm wondering, what is the biggest lesson you've learned as being part of Occupy?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned of Occupy, I think the biggest lesson I learned is that, let me try to phrase this well, is that I feel like we're doing some, other, we're thinking a lot in Revolution about, the world, and what do we want the world, and how do we imagine the world, but what I've learned, I think, is that it has more to do with what I envision for myself. Does that make sense? Self-change and working on the inner self and liberating yourself from ideas of conventional society or where you're supposed to live, and I feel like I'm super liberated from those ideas of what we're supposed to do in life, and that has been and I think all these ideas, I was like, hey, it's not the imprisoning feeling I have a really imprisoning feeling from having a job and paying rent, going to work every day, doing that, and that's such an imprisoning kind of thing for me. And I thought, maybe that we had to change this together, and I realized I can liberate myself from it. And so that's the biggest lesson I've learned, is that I can just do that. I can do that and liberate myself. And yeah, I'll help like other people maybe liberate themselves. And if they want that world for them, like, whatever they want, I want to help, I guess, create a way to encourage people to liberate themselves in the life they want, because people have done that for me. And I feel just incredibly free right now. And it is amazing. It's the most amazing thing. And I want everyone to feel this way. I don't want people to feel like they need to struggle to exist. And I don't feel like I need to struggle to exist right now. And that's pretty amazing.
That was so beautifully put, and that is such a wise thing to realize at such a young age, and it will serve you well, because I wish I had gotten there as quick as you did to understand that. So, you know, I'm really proud of you. And it makes me feel so optimistic too. So, So Strat asked, I don't know if you caught it, but she asked, do you find engaging with the police is easier the longer you've been doing it?
I think it has gotten easier. It definitely gets difficult at times. Like after, like it got really kind of, March 17th actually really made me question my interaction with cops. Which was a really intense night. If you've seen the footage, a lot of people were pretty brutalized, and I was arrested with them in the brutality circle, and it was pretty difficult to watch. My friends get beat up, and so I guess it made me question my interaction with cops a lot, because like I think before that I was like kind of like pissed off, and I would kind of say all these things that were kind of like in their face a little, but not like too demeaning, but like kind of still antagonistic. Mm-hmm. And then like when that happened, I just got super mad, and I had to vent out things. And then I just had this realization that I have to look at it a different way, that I have to realize that like they're gonna be the way they're gonna be, and that's it. And like if I say these antagonistic things and throw at these things, they're not gonna listen, and they're gonna justify doing their job more if I yell at them or if I say antagonistic things. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to make their job easy. So, and if you're very cheerful and light and fluffy and have humor, and they're laughing with you, that makes their job hard.
Right. It provides so much contrast. Yeah, exactly.
I think they'll question it more, and so that's something that I've learned recently, and I'm trying to kind of incorporate it like today, because like I don't believe in the cop system. I think it's very corrupt, and I think it's things I've seen is kind of harsh, and but I also feel like I've gotten a better way to interact with the cops, definitely, and it's gotten a lot easier for me. It got pretty, like after March 17th, it got really hard, and then it got really easy. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like we want to talk in absolutes, but then I was just like, wow, like I really had a sense of like things, like what, and it's really hard for me to put into words, but.
Well, it's like you were beginning to choose how you wanted to engage instead of just a default reaction.
Yeah, and it's been tactical and tactful, even though these people are being ridiculous. Like they're doing things ridiculous, and so I want to, in a playful way, just be like, "This is ridiculous. Let's laugh about it because it's ridiculous. You're doing it, so at least acknowledge that this is ridiculous." And I think humor helps them see that, and so that's what I'm trying to incorporate more, and that's been a lot easier for me, point of view, to look at it. It's been an easier way to look at it for me. I miss Lorenzo, of course. He's awesome, and he's a great friend, and I've been talking to him on the phone.
And he's in Minneapolis now, is that right? For those that don't know. He's running some streams out of there, too, I think. And you have a message from Overcome there if you see that. And so anything else you'd like to add? Chatters have any questions for Elizabeth?
Mm-hmm.
We're really grateful you spend the time with us
I'll
tonight.
touch a bit Overcome Greed. I know who you're talking about, and I am concerned about him, but let's have that be a private conversation. Thank you, Indigo Bunting. Thank you, everyone, for the love, and yeah.
Yep, we think about you every day. All right, dear, we'll go. Do the thing tonight. Be safe and keep up the good spirits you have. And it's you make me so proud. I'm so honored to be able to work with you and do things with you. Thank you for coming here and talking to us.
Oh, thank you. This is amazing. So we're doing this. We're having these realizations together. And it's just amazing.
Right.
So.
You're such a good example, and I'm every time I get frustrated, I think about, okay, I need to live up to something a little bit better and not pick my own default position. So it's been a learning experience for all of us.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Good night. I'll be live tweeting throughout the night too. So
okay,
I'm
great.
at Musician on Twitter. So I tweeted a little last night, and I'll still tweet. I might, watch the Twitter if I'm going to live stream or not. It depends how many live streamers are there, but we'll see.
I think if there's more than 2, you should take the night off again and just enjoy the scene.
It's also good because they all ran out of battery and energy throughout the night, and in the morning I was able to stream, so that was good.
There you go.
That worked out.
Teamwork. All right. Have a good night, dear. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.